Hello and welcome to Your New Jersey. I'm Marie Falbo. On today's show, we'll hear from Taylor Lucyk, one of Bergen County's top real estate professionals, about why the Garden State is the best place to live, work, and play. But first, we're diving into the world of home design with Cindy Gelormini, better known as the Paint Diva. Based in Summit, Cindy has been helping homeowners transform their spaces for years. And now she's sharing her expertise in her brand new book, The Paint Diva Method. Cindy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lisa, for having me. I'm happy to be here.
We go back many, many years.
Yes.
Many lives, many projects. And I know this one has been in the works for a long time. And to see it here, live and in living color, no pun intended, is just the ultimate. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it only took 8 years.
It's okay. But hey, masterpieces are not overnight success stories.
That's true.
Tell us about the book.
I have been working as a paint color consultant and a Benjamin Moore color expert for 20 years. I worked in a Benjamin Moore store for 11 years, and then I went out on my own 8 years ago, and it was right around that time that I had an idea to write a book because I was getting emails from people all over the country wanting my help choosing paint colors. And I would say to them, isn't there somebody at a local paint store or a stager or designer, somebody that, and they say, no, there's nobody here that does what you do. And that's when I realized I have to come up with a way to help people and duplicate what I do.
It's so hard when you go to a store and you see all those swatches and 50 shades of gray, right? And every color. Like, how do you cut through that noise?
Yeah, there's 3,500 colors by Benjamin Moore. Yeah, and,
Wow.
and I laugh when you say that because when I worked in the store, people would walk in and they would stop and look at the wall of color and they would always go, because they don't know where to start. So the way that I do, and it's the Paint Diva, this is my method, this is the Paint Diva method, is simply to match your stuff that's in the room, because you have to match that. You can't take a color that you saw maybe in your friend's house or at a mansion in May or something and say, oh, Revere Pewter, it's the best color, but it doesn't go with your stuff. You know, you have to match what's in your space.
The book is very colorful. So how do you dive into each color?
In the beginning, I give you a little bit of color lessons, like how to see the undertones. A lot of people don't even know what that means.
I don't know.
Yeah. Let's say beige, for instance. Revere Pewter is sort of a khaki beige with a little bit of a green undertone. You know, other colors might have a little bit of a peachy undertone, a little bit of a pink undertone. And you'll know by, say, you have beige tile in your bathroom and you lay those colors on top of the tile, you look and see what matches my tile the best. So that's what I explain in the beginning, right? And then I break the colors into 4 seasons, because this is something that I did in the store. When I started 20 years ago, everybody had a red dining room. Everything was gold, green, and red, right? Then we moved into the beige era, right? So back then, I used to consider the red, the oranges, the golds, fall colors, autumn colors, right? And then we moved into the beiges, and then now the past 8 to 10 years, we've been all gray every day, and it's been cool grays and blues, and to me, those are winter colors. So I divide it into colors, and then we move into room by room, and we talk about what works best in each room. And I've already given you a hint. In a kitchen, you look at the cabinets, the countertop, the backsplash. And so this is broken up room by room. And then at the end of the book, it's things that always came up when I worked in the paint store. What finish do you use? What type of paint do you use? What do you do on your ceiling? What do you do on your trim? I notice people don't know they don't know what the sheens are. When I say to do eggshell or satin or flat, they don't know what I'm talking about. You know, so sometimes when it's your world, you sort of, right? You just go into the lingo and you don't realize that if people don't live in paint land like I do, they don't know what you're talking about, right? So I explain all of that. In the end, I even explain how to talk to your contractor. You know, I had people call me in tears because their painter's pushing them to hurry up and paint a color. I need it by tomorrow and they're not ready, and you know.
It's a big decision because it's not like you're repainting your house every year.
Correct. And this is why I tell people, this is why it's easy for me. I do this all day, every day. How often do you paint? Once every 8 to 10 years? You know, not very often. So the biggest decision is the exterior. Because I always say your neighbors can see your mistake. That's the one that people are more afraid of, is doing the exteriors.
And there's mistakes. You drive around sometimes here in New Jersey and you're like, what were they thinking?
Yes, I know.
Well, you parlayed working in that paint store in the middle of New Providence into such a career? Because you, my friend, are more than just picking paint colors. Working in that center of town store in New Providence, it took you on a journey that has spawned podcasts and TV shows, nonprofit organization. So take us to the beginning. When did you learn that you had this talent?
Probably when I was a kid, and I used to draw pictures, and people would make a big deal out of it. And you know, it was just a hobby. It was just something that I enjoyed. And my first job was working as an editor in an office. And after the book was published, we had downtime for about a month, and I used to sketch pictures, and people would say, "Ooh, sketch my kid for me," you know. And then when the holidays rolled around, they said, "Oh, can you paint on the windows of the office, you know, some holiday pictures?" And I didn't even know what kind of paint to use. I had to go to the craft store to do that. And I had a dance background, so I started teaching aerobics at a health club, and I did the same thing. I did the holiday pictures up on the mirrors of the health club. And a woman came in to do a mural in the nursery one day, and I said, So I went home and I painted a mural in my kids' room. And that just started to take off. I painted for friends. I painted the dance studio where my girls took dance, and I bartered for dance lessons, and I painted a mural, and then somebody saw that, and then she asked me to come paint a mural at her house. And then somebody asked me to paint a faux fireplace in her home, and she used the word trompe-l'oeil, and I didn't even know what she was talking about, and it's French for fool the eye. Oh, this is actually very interesting. So I went home and started painting everything in my house. I painted faux area rugs on the floor, and I painted faux baskets of potatoes and onions on my cabinets, and faux dishes, and I painted faux topiaries on the wall. And I said in the book, it's a faux apocalypse, because I just painted faux everything. And then an interior designer came over to pick her kids up. Her daughter was playing with my girls, and she saw what I had done, and she asked me to do a job for her, and we did an Italian restaurant. But that's really what kind of launched it. And then after the restaurant, I started getting hired to do faux finishes and murals and things. And I did that for about 10 years. Once I almost fell off a scaffold, and then the next time I was on an extension ladder, and I almost fell off the 20-foot ladder. I said, "That's it, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore." And the faux finishes were going out of style. That was about the time when I walked into the paint store, and I had done murals in all of his kids' rooms. And he said, "Oh, I can't believe you just walked in here. I've been looking for somebody to come and work as my in-store designer and help people choose paint colors all day." I said, "Really? That's okay? That's all I have to do is just choose paint colors? I don't have to lug paint cans and ladders around anymore? This is great." So I went to work there, and I really enjoyed it. And I sort of found my superpower when I was in there. I was like, this is easy for me, and it was great. So I did that for a while. And then I started to do, and this was before Instagram, okay? I started doing videos. I started doing YouTube videos, and just turning my phone on and recording videos. And then I got the idea, hey, let's do a cable show. And I called Lisa Marie Latino at the time, come produce my cable show for me. And we had a lot of fun doing those episodes. But they were fun.
Well, the cable show really showcased your talent, because you would go into these terrible spaces. I mean, it was before like Joanna Gaines and all those people too. I mean, we were way ahead of our time.
Yeah, yes.
And you would go and you would transform these spaces into, I mean, gorgeous living corners.
And I would also take old furniture and I would paint it, and I used to repaint it and sell it in the store. And again, no Instagram. I mean, if I had...
This was before Pinterest. This was like Facebook was the only game in town.
What's so funny is my daughter is an influencer on Instagram now. And
is she?
Yeah, and she takes these old pieces and she redoes them, and she creates these beautiful reels and she puts them up on Instagram, and she's got hundreds of thousands of followers, and she's got Pottery Barn and all these companies sending her all this free stuff. And I'm like, I didn't have anything back then.
Do you know I never knew that? Which daughter?
Patty.
After her claim to fame in the Union County area.
Yes.
You parlayed your talent into real estate.
I did. Well, I could foresee that the company that I was working for was probably going to go out of business soon, and I needed to reinvent myself again. It was just like when the faux finishes were going out of style. I had to reinvent myself and go to work in the store. And now after 10 years, 11 years, again, I found myself in that place again. So I went and I got my real estate license, because a lot of my clients were either putting their house on the market and they had to get it painted and ready to sell, or a lot of people were buying a new home. And a lot of people call me, it's the first appointment that they want. As soon as they close on the house, they want to paint the place and do the floors over again. And so I come in and I help them choose all their colors, and I get it all done in an hour, take away all the stress, boom, and everything's ready to go. So since I work for all these buyers and sellers, I got my real estate license, and I did that for about 5 years. But the only part that I liked was the staging part. Like, I loved the before and after. I loved taking a house that somebody's lived in for 30 years and getting in there and saying, let's get rid of this paper, let's paint it this color, let's declutter, let's, you know, and the whole before and after photos, that was the part that I really enjoyed. So I didn't need to deal with the stress of being a realtor to do that. So.
Yeah, it's all right. But you know what, this is your passion, or one of your passions. I mean, we haven't touched on music, we haven't touched on any of that, but for another time. I think, though, the most beautiful part of your story, though, is that you use your platform to raise awareness for autism. And you have your Robbie's World Foundation that is woven into everything that you do. So tell us about that.
My son, Robbie, he had severe autism and seizures, and he passed away in 2017. And so I wrote a children's book series called Robbie's World and His Spectrum of Adventures. And right when COVID hit, we all went into lockdown, and I locked myself down at my dining room table painting illustrations, 340 illustrations. There were 12 stories, and that's how that got done. And I always say, if we didn't get locked down, it probably never would have gotten done, because it forced me to stay home, you know, for a month or whatever. And I got that done, and those books were released in 2021. And for 8 years, I had an idea that I wanted to do retreats for moms that have autistic kids. There was a day spa that had opened up, and they invited my women's networking group to come. And a friend of mine was there who has twins with autism, and I knew that her marriage was falling apart, and I knew behind the scenes how stressed out she was. And when I looked at her, I said, she needs this more than anybody. And I just got that idea, that light bulb moment. I said, someday I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this for moms just like her. So it took 8 years, but you know, well, I pulled the trigger and I got it done. And we did the first retreat, and it went really well. People were, you know, donating to help sponsor, and they kept saying, who do I write the check out to? And I'm just like, me? Me? So a friend of mine said, look, if you're going to keep doing this, you need to start a foundation. And so one of my clients that I worked for repeatedly, choosing paint colors for his office buildings and everything, when it was time for him to pay me, he said, all right, how much do I owe you? And I said, well, hold on a second. Do you set up foundations? And he's like, yes. Why? I said, well, can we barter? So he hooked me up, and we started the foundation. So now we do the retreats every year. And then after the second one, the mom said, well, what about the siblings? And what about the dads? I was like, okay,
Wow.
all right. So then let's do something else. So then we did a beach bash, and we went down and stayed at a hotel in Toms River, and we went to Island Beach State Park, and the whole family, we go to the beach for the day, and we have a little mini 2-day vacation. So we've done that twice. We have more big things to come. I think we're going to be very soon, we're going to be opening up a rec center. It's going to be basically like a YMCA for kids with special needs. And as well as running a day program for adults over 21. It's partnered with a company that runs very successful day programs down the shore. And they were looking for another location, and I saw this location. I called them right up, and I said, you guys got to get up here.
Where in Jersey?
In New Providence.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to
didn't
be,
know
there's an aquatic center there in New Providence, and they do all their swim meets, but they've got this whole office building that's just not being used. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is like a gold mine. You have no idea. Like, we can do, there's a gym where we can do dance and fitness classes, and there's a physical therapy pool and an OT room, and it's just perfect for, I want it to be a hub for autism families where they can come and get everything. They can get speech and OT and PT, like everything they need, but also fun classes, art and photography and dance, and we're going to put on plays, and we're going to do, you know, and anything that they can think of that they want. I've been talking to families and asking them, you know, what do you want? Let's do it.
It's going to be a stylish space too. I'm sure you are involved.
First thing in first order business is pick out new paint colors.
Exactly. There's going to be there'll be penguins all over the place.
Yes, exactly. How did you know?
Wait.
Penguins. That's the theme, penguins. Yep, for sure.
Well, I didn't know that.
And it's going to be called Evermore Dream Center. Evermore is going to run it, but they're going to call the space Robbie's World.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, you just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
I had no idea about any of this.
This is just coming about. Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll have to go there.
Yeah,
and
for
do
sure,
a
and do a
piece.
tour.
Yes, when everything
As soon
is
as it
up and running.
opens, we'll get the place fixed up and start hiring people and start, getting the ball rolling. Then we'll do a big reveal party.
Yeah. Oh, well, I love that. Thank you so much for coming in. Where can people order a copy of the book?
The book is actually sold out on Amazon right now, which is a good thing. But they can order off of my website. It will lead you straight to the publisher, and you'll get it a lot faster. You can get the ebook on Amazon, but you can get the actual book itself from the publisher. But just go to my website, and it's Paint Diva NJ for New Jersey, paintdivanj.com, and you can order it.
All right. Well, I am so proud of you. Thank you so much for coming here, my friend, and best of luck with the book. I hope it's a bestseller.
Thank you, me too.
Taylor Lucyk is a Bergen County real estate leader dedicated to both his industry and community. From fundraising for cancer awareness to supporting local charities, he's making an impact beyond the market. Taylor, welcome to your New Jersey.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
And you are responsible for settling people here around the Garden State. And what better time than right now?
It's definitely been a very high-paced market for the last, I would say, 5 years now we're going on. It's interesting to see all the development that's happening here in New Jersey, especially like all throughout Bergen County specifically, where we spend a lot of our time and a lot of our business. But yeah, it's been a really powerful time to be involved and special time to be involved.
Why do you think the real estate market in the Garden State right now is booming?
Historically, it's always been great, right? For a lot of ways, because of our proximity to the city and our school systems and our shopping and everything about New Jersey overall, especially North New Jersey, and now even South New Jersey, right? Like the vacation properties is strong. But I think more so now than ever is just still like a very large lack of inventory. There's so many more buyers than available properties. So it just creates this like huge demand for, just residential homes.
Yeah. So you specialize in the Bergen County area. What's the hidden gem in the county?
The hidden gem. Ooh.
Because when you think of Bergen, you think Ridgewood.
Yes.
You think of
Tenafly.
the Alpines and the upper Saddle Rivers. And but like, what's maybe not top of mind that people should know about?
I would say more like entry-level markets that kind of fall below the radar a little bit. Westwood, Washington Township, Waldwick, Midland Park, like really good towns all in proximity to Ridgewood. And then there's some other markets that I would say are comparable to, let's say, the Saddle River, Upper Saddle River, Franklin Lakes market. That would include like Montvale, Woodcliff Lake, a lot of new development going on there. So you're getting that like land coverage with very similar school systems for like arguably a fraction of the price, like 10% less in some situations. So yeah, undervalued markets for sure.
How did you get started in the real estate industry?
By mistake.
Okay.
Completely by mistake. I was in an entrepreneurship class and a friend of mine wanted to flip homes and he was a Marine, so he was like super handy. And I said, okay. And we got our licenses really just to learn about acquiring and rehabbing, and I thought it would be like an investment strategy. There's an interesting thing about real estate, you need money, and I didn't have any. So I couldn't buy any homes. So I hung my license at a brokerage at the time, which I thought was suited for that type of structure, and the guy was buying like 2-3 homes a week, and I wanted to like follow somebody that was doing it. So I kind of like plugged myself there, put the flag there, and got started, and through that process started selling, and I kind of just fell in love with it from there.
Wow, that is awesome. So the real estate market, it's always evolving, you would agree.
Always.
What trend are you seeing in 2025?
I mean, I would say new development. I mean, people, when I say new development, like new construction homes. So like you're seeing so much more of that. Developers are paying top dollar for a lot of land. Like in some cases, the dirt is worth more than the actual house itself. And you're still getting a very large affluent buyer pool coming out of the city and even other parts of the country, not just New York. People think New Jersey's like everyone's just coming from New York. That's not true. We get a lot of relo from Chicago, from Texas, sometimes like the reverse from Florida back up. And these like higher salaried people or self-employed individuals, they want nice homes. So you're seeing a lot more $3, $4, $5, even $6 million new construction homes trading. So that's you're going to see a lot more of that, and there's a lot in the pipeline for 2025 of that.
So I think of where I live in Morris County, and in my particular town, there's no more land to build on. There's knockdown properties. So is that what you were seeing?
Exactly what you just said. Yeah, and it's a shame because sometimes aren't always knocked down properties. They're just more older properties, maybe from the 60s or 70s. But like I said, there's such a value in the land, and there's a buyer that's ready to pay a premium for the end product that developers are coming in and they're paying for it, and they're building it, and people are paying for it on the back end.
I feel like your industry is more competitive than even the television industry.
Yeah.
There's real estate people on social media all the time popping up. You're getting solicited like crazy.
Yeah.
How do you cut through the noise?
When I got started in 2016, there was a little bit less of it, right? There was like the social media was definitely always big. That was around for a while. When I got started, I was 25 years old. So when I got started, I was like the youngest one in the room by far. Like most of the realtors that were in my like competitive market were double my age. So they weren't putting themselves out there as early as I was. So I feel like my start might be more challenging for those starting today to answer the question. But yeah, we were huge, like innovating on social media, really trying to find innovative ways to market properties. But I think how to stand out today more than ever is consistency. And it's just understanding. People always want to work with people that just understand. So if you're like the most knowledgeable person in the room, I feel like people will always work with you and you just kind of like stick with that client base. So I always say like study up first, because like when you have those conversations, you want to be able to give someone education and close, so that's a big thing for me.
For realtors, how important is social media and having a social media persona?
It's your billboard. Social media is interesting because it's not about one post, right? Like people always want to make one post and they want to go viral and they want everyone to see them, but people forget about that post. They'll see it one time and then maybe it's talked about once or twice, but then it's just like another post on the internet. So once again, like consistency. So the more you're posting, even if it's just stories or whatever, and you're present, like you're front of mind. Your objective is just to stay relevant and stay front of mind as long as possible. So just be as consistent as possible.
I know giving back is so important to you and your group. What causes and charities are you involved in?
We're in a pretty wide range. I would say in the cancer space, to say, for example, we're pretty heavy there. Ovarian cancer for me, meaning a charity that we've always found supporting in. I used to work for a gym called Lifetime. There was a member there that kind of brought me to that education of what that was. So that was like pretty early on in my career. So we've been very consistent with doing events for that and raising awareness for that. Suicide prevention. I mean, a lot of things. Some things are just local too, like police donations, police charities, firemen donations, firemen charity, school related things. But anytime we see something and we think it connects to us and it's valuable to us or meaningful to us, we try to get involved.
And it's a win-win for everyone. You get your name out there in such a great way.
100%. And it's just like you feel good. I mean, that's like really the whole idea of it. It's like you're impacting somebody, even if you don't see them or you're still doing it. And I feel like that whole energy circulation is like important. And yeah, we're big on that.
So you say we. Who makes up your team?
So my team is made up of 11 realtors, including myself.
Good for you.
Thank you. We have 4 admins on the back end. That's social media, that's transaction coordination, team management, and just like overall like marketing, PR. But yeah, that's the group.
How did you build up a staff like that?
Time. But you start getting a certain workflow where you can't handle everything. And that's kind of where I got in my career at one point, where I just couldn't service everybody the way I would like to properly. So I had to find a way to make extensions of myself. So like through the process and through the business and meeting people, like, you meet individuals that you share like-mindedness with, or you think represent you well, or they think they're going to build your brand because like you have like, your whole thing here. Like it's hard to hire. Hiring is like really a challenging thing because they represent you, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just always believe it's like, try to hire right first and like not have to like measure twice, cut once type of thing. And it's worked out really well. Like our retention rate's amazing, and my team, honestly, I'm blessed 100%. I have great people around me.
That's the ultimate. I mean, you need the team in order to get to the next level. Yeah. What do you look for in hiring?
So the team element of real estate, I would say, is a little indifferent, because as a realtor, like you want to build your own brand, right? So when you're part of a group, you always have identity, but at the same token, you still are building somebody's brand. So the first thing I try to connect with people with is, are they okay with the concept of being okay building my brand, right? And if I feel like there's a friction point there, or there's that need for somebody to want to go build their own, that might not be a good fit, because I could see in like 2-3 years that they're going to want to segue off and do their own thing. And I feel like in this business with real estate, it's probably arguably like the longest transaction period. It's not like a normal sales job where someone buys something every month, right? You're working with clients 3, 4, 5, 6 months, a year before they buy. So my point to that is, when you're hiring people, it could take them 1.5 years, 2 years even to build a business for themselves, because it takes that long for things to kind of kick off. So that's always a big thing for me. It's just like culture, right? Do they fit in with the rest of the people? Like, do I feel like people are going to bash heads, or they're going to get along? And thankfully, to date, like they all have like their little cliques and they all go out and hang out. But it really is in its own way a family.
For people watching that are interested in buying or selling in the Garden State, where can people find you?
Always go to our website. That's taylorlusykgroup.com. You can visit us on social media. That's also Taylor Lucyk Group. But yeah, we're all over the internet. I would say we're pretty easy to find.
You're pretty easy to find. And are you going to be at any big events this year?
We always do the Bergen Magazine event. That's one of my favorite events. They do that at the Rivervale Country Club every year. So we always have like a pretty good staple table there. But I don't know. I mean, we're always involved. We're doing so many things, like women's activities events and other things. Like sometimes my team's there and I'm not there, but we really are super involved with like so many things. But we always post about it and we share it. So if you follow us on Instagram, you'll see it.
Okay. Taylor, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
I appreciate it. This was a pleasure. This was a lot of fun, and I'd love to do it again. And I'm going to now tune in and watch more of these.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. We'll see you back here next week.